No, wait, that doesn't work. We're about to record a podcast. We can't be quiet.
It's an audio format. Come on.
We have to be loud and excited because we're talking about Bluey.
Hey! How do you do an excited shush?
I've got a big butt.
Who was that?
Wow, Marty, you've altered your voice there, apparently.
I reckon we can figure out who that is.
Okay.
We'll all say our names.
Okay.
My name's Brendan.
My name's Frank.
My name's Marty.
And I'm Allie.
Allie's here.
This episode of the Hammer Bomb Project is called Hush Puppies.
Frank, I'd like to introduce you to Allie.
Oh.
I think you two would really hit it off.
She's a bit of a riot.
Yeah.
I might have to marry her like nearly 10 years. No, we're not married 10 years ago, but meet her 10 years ago. Sorry. Got out of jail there.
Yeah, I'm hot under my collar.
Yeah, we got that recorded, everyone.
Allie, thank you for joining us.
That's all right.
It's Frank Sally, everybody.
Yay.
Finally, someone to keep Frank under control because we really
Yeah, I
need that.
know, because up until now he's
been giving all these puns,
it's
all this
yeah.
terribly pretentious postmodern commentary.
doesn't watch the episodes.
I was thinking just a feminine voice because hearing you guys talk about childbirth was quite interesting.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's a
the one we choose to do without any girls is the one that, yeah.
Marty's Ellie and I had a good giggle about that.
Yeah, I think that was the idea. I think we tried to like be in check of the fact that, just, especially me, I have no idea what it means to be present when a children is
When
born.
a children is born, yes.
We're going to talk about an episode of Bluey because it's awesome to do so, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And I'm particularly excited about today because, Allie, you are awesome, and thank you for joining us here on the Hammer Barn Project to talk about the best show.
Very keen to be involved.
So we're doing a sort of like, would we say this is sort of like a fan-fave kind of thing?
I think so. Like, basically, what's happened is Ali has sort of asked to be on the show, and we said, all right, dealer's choice. What episode?
I asked to be on the show. You asked me to be on all the podcasts. This is just the first time I agreed.
I left a little hint as to which episode Ali decided she might want to talk about.
You say
at the start.
left a little hint in the same way
was
my dog. In the
very
same way
cryptic.
my dog
yeah.
leaves a little present on the lawn for me. It's not that subtle.
Yeah, you know about it.
This episode of Bluey is called The Quiet Game.
Have I already used that bit enough?
I think
so.
Once was too many?
You
Gotcha.
could just edit in a large amount more silence.
Could. Will. Look, I'd love to get into the bark down, but we've already all introduced ourselves. In our very first episode, we talked about, how we were introduced to Bluey and what first episode we saw. I'd love to give you a chance, Allie, to
Your
just...
Bluey origin story.
Yeah. What's your relationship with Bluey?
I actually introduced all of you to Bluey because I introduced Frank to Bluey. So I saw when I was breastfeeding a lot, watching a lot of Netflix and things, and Frank kept telling me off because some of my content was a bit inappropriate. And I was like, he's like 2 months old. He can't tell what's going on. And then I saw someone post something about Bluey. I was like, oh, yeah, I like a bit of ABC. Put on an episode. I was like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And now it is a regular occurrence. We watch it every single morning when we wake up, depending on whether that be 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m.
Depending whether Jack's even there.
Yes. So we are probably, I think, at least the 13th or 14th run through of both seasons now. But Quiet Game is my favourite. I love it.
What a ripper.
Do you remember your first episode? The one that jumps out to you?
Oh,
She's playing the quiet game right now.
I am playing the Quiet Game. I'm trying to think. I want to say Sean, but I think that's just because you used to talk about it all the time.
I did when trying to sell people on the series. I always used Sean as a bit of a seller. Like, he said, have you seen that thing with liar, liar, where he makes his hand? Jim Carrey turns his hand into
I was watching that the other day.
blue, and that's what Bandit does with Sean.
I want to say the Claw. I reckon the Claw might have been the first one I saw.
Oh yes, that's a good one.
Claw machine, yeah.
Marty, would you care to give us the bare bones of this episode?
Well, this episode is clearly an homage to the 1996 Arnold Schwarzenegger film, A Jingle All the Way, wherein the deadbeat dad has to get the present for someone and has a great amount of difficulty doing it. I'm just going to try and see how many Arnold Schwarzenegger references I can get.
I was going to say.
I tell you what, we're not doing Batman and Robin. I refuse that movie.
So in this episode, in order to get the kids to be quiet, Bandit invents the quiet game, which comes back to bite him, of course, when he needs information from the kids in order to know which present to buy. I was also going to make the joke that this is like an homage to Frank and Allie, because I think there's nothing more you guys than that. I'll be on the couch. No, you need to go buy a present for your niece because I can't do it anymore.
The one problem with your theory is you're asking Bandit to go into a toy store and he's going, that is not my reaction.
I have a
at
note
all.
on my page. Yeah, but Frank would be fine with that. Toy situation he'd be all right with, but just being organised for Frank.
This is where Bandit didn't do enough to carry the mental load in the relationship. If he was doing his fair share, he would know what present to buy.
That's
so he
very
really
true.
dug his own hole.
Man, this is excellent. Can we have Ali in here every time?
No, we can't. What a shame.
I've got to be careful because we're going to have my Ellie at some point. Really
I did not expect this, but the brunt of the joke has shifted.
Can we talk about the opening? Almost you'd call it a cold open in a lot of other shows. She's got nothing really to do with the rest of the episode. Just Bluey's wrapped a beanbag around her bum. And she's like, oh, sorry, it's a big bum. Oh, knocks over Bingo. Oh, sorry, love, it was my big bum.
Can you remember the brand of foot seat called the feet seat?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
the
Yeah, we had one
beanbag
of
and it was the
those.
feet
Yep.
fit seat. The best thing about those is they were beanbaggy, but they had stitching around the middle. So when you pretended it was a butt, it sort of had like a line down the middle. And so when I saw that, I was just like, oh, okay.
It's a feet seat.
It's exactly what I did with my feet seat, pretending I had a big beanbag bum. Excellent. And the other thing that I can remember for real life from this episode is you mentioned it, Marty, that Bandit invents the quiet game, which he does say that he did, but I don't know if he did because I'm certain my parents did that to us.
I think every parent invents it. One of the other things I wanted to talk about is we can see more of the house in this shot, and there's a few things in it. Do you guys know what Chili and Bandit do for work?
I found this out through the wiki, I think.
Yes.
Like when I was looking up characters.
Yeah, okay.
So I haven't learned it through the show, I must admit. I forgot Chili's for a second, and I
Yeah.
think I've remembered it.
Okay,
I
you
will
go.
never forget Bandits. Because once I learnt it, just when I thought I couldn't
Selling
love...
drain pipes?
Oh, zing.
Not quite. But no, just when I thought I couldn't love Bandit anymore, I find out that he's an archaeologist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what do dogs do? They dig things up.
Genius.
Arnie loves raiders.
He certainly does.
The reason why I mention it now is like if you look around their house, there's a whole bunch of sorts of things that an archaeologist would have. You know, there's like a bone in a mount somewhere, and there's sort of something going on in the back window as well. But there are different features around the house that show his interest. But Chili...
Can I put my hand up for Chili?
Yeah, go for it.
Airport security?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which also dogs do.
I want to see the episode of Border Patrol with Chili in it.
Oh, man, that'd be hardcore.
I feel like I wouldn't want to be the guy who didn't listen to the quarantine instructions at the airport and got caught out by Chili. Like, she is a gentle soul, but when she flashes those
That glare.
eyes, those serious eyes, it happens a couple of times.
Oh, yeah. You get the look.
You get the look, and then anytime Chili gives that look, Bandit and Bluey and Bingo are like, oh, yeah,
It's about to go down.
the snapping back into behavior.
Do you reckon she works with a whole bunch of German Shepherds? Like she's the token healer working at the airport? Because the German Shepherds would be like the security, guys at the gate sort of thing. But then what's the other one they have?
They have
sniffer dogs?
Like beagles do that.
Beagles, that's what I'm thinking of. Little
Yeah,
dog
yeah.
with floppy ears and stuff.
Yeah. Aw.
So cute.
Even if I got caught, I'd be like, oh.
Maybe not.
I love the sequence wherein Chili comes in and she's getting her bag organised. And there's just this little moment, opens up the bag to put her laptop in, and she discovers that there's toys in there. So she has to take out these 2 toys in order to put her laptop in.
I didn't see that.
That is life.
Yeah, it's
Great.
so there. And it's just like she's talking at the same time. She's telling Bandit what the instructions are and that the kids know about.
Yeah,
which
the kids know.
kids know.
Yeah.
What Moonlight Unicorn that they need to pick out. And it's just embedded in everything else. It's just an extra element of fun.
Can we talk about the real star of this episode, though? the toy store itself.
Oh my goodness.
Like Moonlight Unicorn and the way they translate that to Bandit without talking, I should say. But I was fascinated by looking at what appears to be like a Maya or some sort of big department store like that. Just the way the shelves were laid out, the things in the background. Well, they obviously can't license all of these actual properties. There was clearly something that was meant to be a transformer. There was a big dump truck in there. There was these marine animals.
I love the one which is a clamshell where the smiley face is on the pearl that's inside. It's just like somebody's had fantastic fun coming up with all these toys that appear on the shelves.
Yeah.
There's a couple of sloths as well.
Yeah.
I have seen those. I bought a couple as sort of like for lame work presents for, when you do the Secret Santa thing. And they're made of that really hyper soft material, and they're the big long arms, and it's got a bit of Velcro so you can hug a sloth. And they look to be a couple of those on the back shelf.
I want to hug a sloth.
Takes a long time.
I was totally with you on It's a Myers. There's something about having carpeted floor sections and then sort of tiled sections where you walk that just makes it feel that way. And also just the way that the shelves are laid out. And the fact that there's clothing as well. And I love the dog mannequins.
I mean, we've mentioned this before on the show. Bandit is forever hanging out washing that we never see them wear. But as highlighted by the mannequins, you go, well, they're selling clothes and they even demonstrate how they're supposed to be worn. But you still don't see anyone. And the street shot, which has a lot of little cameos we'll get to later, but the street shot where there's dozens of characters walking past in the background and the foreground, none of them are wearing these clothes. So this must be the worst department store ever because they clearly don't sell enough merchandise.
They've chosen a good employee in Alfie, I think, so they're not all bad.
Oh, Alfie. Love him.
Okay, so this is clearly Ali's favourite of the episode. Talk us through your mate Alfie.
See, it's his first day at work, and you just see him there, and he's like, how do you know I'm going to be any good? And it's like, just have to be helpful. It's just the way you see him, like, be like, oh, yep, got to do this. And the first thing he's asked for is a moon sprinkler.
It's my first day.
I can go check out the back. And then he's coming back, and he's like, well, we don't have any.
Which, for anyone who's ever worked retail, is my I need to get out of this situation line.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go check out the back. It's like, I need a moment to just deal with this situation.
But he genuinely did try and find it.
Yeah.
And
He comes back, I don't think they exist.
and he's scratching his head like he's really trying his hardest.
He would have asked all the other workers at the store and they would have gone, oh, this is hazing, right? This is like, you're the new guy. You're asking for something that doesn't exist.
Just even the moment when he gets out of the car and says like, oh, thanks, Mum, and just being dropped off by his mum. We all remember the time in our life when,
First job.
First job, getting dropped off by your parents to something that you weren't really sure that you were going to be good at, and they give you the pep talk, and it's really, Alfie's a legend.
I must call out Bandit as well when he tries to get out of this situation that is clearly of his own doing, and the way he tries to even just, all right, let's pause the game. Boop. And he makes the noise as if pressing some imaginary button thinking, oh, that'll snap the kids out of it and they can tell me what I need to know. Nah, doesn't break them. And then he tries later on. She goes, all right, game's over. You win. Here you go. Gold medal. And he actually goes to put on an imaginary, like an Olympic presentation thinking that'll snap it. Nah, doesn't do it. So credit to Bluey and Bingo for
They're just
not breaking.
so good at the game.
They've got those little happy eye lines and just the standing with the arms behind the back. And this is one of the things I caught with the music is every time it's them in an exchange, they get a little musical riff for their part of the conversation.
I do love the music in this as well. I love their little riff that's behind them.
It's like, do, 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 do. And then that cuts in and out as it goes, because sometimes Bandit cuts in on himself. He's just like, can you tell? No, you can't tell me. Some brilliant deliveries in there from Bandit as he's just getting more and more flustered.
It's that old thing again of commitment to play, and the best thing about the animated nature of the show is that you can take that commitment to completely fantastical levels. They are so good at this game that when they're laughing, when they're laughing at what are they laughing at Bandit for?
The Moonlight Sprinkler.
Because of the Moonlight Sprinkler, and they're standing there cracking their pants laughing. completely silently. And then when Bandit confesses that he made up the game just because they were being a bit noisy, and they're genuinely so shocked, but they're still in it. It's so good.
Brilliant.
And that they can do this whole play, if you will, of Muffin's reaction to getting one that she already has.
So
And let me tell you, as a collector, you don't want doubles, all right? Because then you got to try and sell that stuff. You got to try and trade. So I get the reaction, but that they're able to put on this amazing performance without the two of them communicating in any way. They're just right. Bingo takes the hat. She knows that she's Muffin. Here's what's going to happen.
Okay, so
Bluey-
you're Muffin.
Exactly. They're perfectly in sync. You know, can you tell me? Shake the heads both at the same motion. Like, it's outstanding.
And any moment in a show like this where you get to know the characters, when you see two or more of them being totally in sync, it's really fun because Bandit's sort of like the outsider here watching, well, what's the worst that could happen? And they're just acting out this scene impromptu, but they each know there's something so fun about watching characters who just know each other so well. And all of Bandit's reactions during that little pantomime.
It's your birthday. Here's your present. You're unwrapping it. It's Bramble Hop. Well,
That's not good. I love the that's not good. And I love the wow.
What would you say, Ali, though, is your moment or line or highlight of the episode?
Alfie's smile.
At
At the very end, when he's like, he's a legend. And he's got this little smile, like he's so proud he did it on the first day. So I just love the bit where they are actually trying to figure out which. And, book chicken.
all his guesses
chicken.
are so good.
To be fair, though, I don't know what a Pendragon is either. So how they managed to figure that out. Is that something? Is there a dragon thing I don't know?
Pendragon is Middle Ages, sort of from Arthurian lore or something, I think.
I knew you would know that.
Comes from the Isle of Biro. Write that one down, hey?
Groaning, pretending I didn't love it, but knowing I'm going to use it later.
There's the whole section where Alfie's going, right, I have to be helpful. This is what I have to do. And, Bandit's there in the background being like, yeah, I thought it might have been like a book chicken or whatever. And he's just like, shh.
Yeah, when he gets shushed. Absolutely, Ali. Absolutely.
And does everybody know who our friend Alfie is played by?
I was going to
say. Famous name.
Is this one of your doggy treats, Frank? Or
Yes. This is probably the biggest doggy treat of the episode. It is voiced by the youngest of the Steve Irwin clan, Rob Irwin.
There you go.
Most Australians probably remember as the baby of the family. He's now, obviously, he's a Brisbane cult figure or hero. I'm not sure who got in touch with who, but yes, it takes on a little bit more meaning when he's watching Bingo flap her arms like a sort of an animal thing, and he's going, they're wings, but they're large wings. And you sit there just going, Steve would be so proud.
Even though Bandit is obviously super great dad, I love anytime he's portrayed as also like not really having a clue at the time. And he's just like, what's the worst that could happen at Muffin's birthday? Like, don't you know Muffin? I'm sitting there going, and it's also fun to be at a point in my viewership of the show where it's an episode that Muffin's not even in. And I'm just like, oh, Muffin would be like that. Yeah, they're exactly right. Oh, Bandit, how could you not know? Don't you know Muffin? And the fact that Alfie does swoop in and he's like really thinking he's got to be helpful, and just that moment, can you help us? And it zooms in, it just like does the fist, and he goes, yes, I can. And he's just so good at figuring out, but it's not what you're writing, it's what you're writing with.
He's so good that he collects an audience of people from around the store. They've done well hiring this guy.
Imagine your first day and they're all cheering you on.
You get a crowd, you get chair lifted up by some stranger.
Oh, man. And I've been a young person working in retail, just having a customer say to my boss, oh, they helped me out with this. And there's no other feeling like it in the world. So, so when, hey, are you this kid's boss? Because he's a legend. He pulls him in and grabs it. And, can I, another sidebar of my stories that don't actually have anything to do with this. Possibly the best compliment I've ever received, which is sort of like this, because I just really empathize with Alfie and just love that moment for him, because it's kind of like a dad giving you a compliment. Yeah. It's just like when you're, because obviously people know by now I work for Australia Post and I deliver the mail in my hometown in the hills, and I actually deliver mail to my old primary school. Tiny primary school. When I was there, it had like 2 classrooms. And if it had, more than 40 kids, it was a good year. And of course, I delivered to all the parents in the area and all like the parents of all the kids. And I was driving past one day and they're all at recess and I'm just delivering the mail and they're all waving like, oh, Posty, give them a toot. And as I'm driving off, I didn't see who it was, but I had my window down and I just heard one random child yell, "My dad thinks you're awesome." And to this day, I don't think I've ever received a higher compliment. There's something about the dad, like this institution of the dad going, you're awesome. And that's what Alfie received.
As Bandit might say in this episode, he might go, "Ooooss," which is, I don't know if that really translates to sort of our non-Australian listeners, but it's a cross between yes and like, I guess American equivalent would be oorah, like the Marines do type thing. And it's sort of just a blend of all those, like Australians are, we're lazy, we don't want to say two words when we can say one.
Yeah, why?
And it's just as an expression of nailed it is probably the other way to do it. And it's "Ooooss," and that comes up multiple times across the series. It's a bit of a favourite in our house. For a while, if our son Jack was off his rocker and crying or whatever, you just do a little bit of a, "Hey Jack, what's that?" "Ooooss," and he'd think it's hilarious. Doesn't matter what you're pointing at, what the reference is, "Ooooss," and you'd get a smile out of him at least.
From my observations of the parents I know, you don't have to analyze why something is funny. If you find something that is, just go with it. Yep. Don't ask. Bring it up whenever you need.
To emphasize that point about Bandit being the dad and Alfie being this, sort of 15, 16-year-old teenager, if you will, when he, "Can you help me?" He goes, "Why don't you just ask them?" And he says, he doesn't explain that the kids are playing the quiet game and this, that. He just goes, "Look, you'll understand one day, Alfie," which is like, a fast forward to when you have kids and you get to be where I am, you're not going to want to answer these questions. You're just going to want a solution.
I also love when Bandit is introducing Alfie to what's going on and he points and he just goes, "That one's writing." Marty, you were going to say that, Marty?
Yeah, I love that. So you were talking before about like when Bandit's not quite with it, they've become objects.
Yeah. Actually, Marty, it's funny because your sister Ness, when I was telling a story about my siblings, she always used to have a go at me for not saying their names. I'd be like, my sister or my brother. Yeah. Oh, my brother did this, my sister did this. And she always said, "Brendan, I know all of them. You don't have to spare me the name. You're not being rude. I know them." And what I figured out years later is, no, I'm not doing that to spare anyone. It's so I don't have to think about who it is.
There's too many names to choose from.
I'm like, was it Claire, Brian, Emma, Kelly, Stephen, Eric? Which one was it? I don't want to have to think about it.
It was one of my brothers or sisters.
Or sisters. It was a person I know. Let's leave it at that. Because me and details with stories. I don't really...
Oh, you're all on it.
Yeah. Just, it doesn't matter. Just tell the story really quickly and succinctly. That's what I'm about.
So any other thoughts on this episode, Ali? You picked this one. What's...
I do also like the cameo in the background.
Oh, which cameo are we talking about?
It's the character that I refer to as Brendan.
Oh, man. If this is what I think it is, I'm so proud because it might be my favourite.
Busker. Yes. When Alfie's going to work, the busker's buying an ice cream.
I've got my headphones on, so I can't really go over and hug you, but I owe you a hug for that one because I love that busker.
Oh, matey, that deserves a song.
That's by Brendan. So we're not doing one of the ones where Marty is in, or we're Frank tonight. So
well, hang on. So Marty is clearly Chloe's dad, but who am I?
Uncle Stripe.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah.
I know, Frank, that you are the doggy treat man, first and foremost. I do have a little one. It might be bordering on rolled up newspaper territory.
That's right.
But it is related to the busker thing. Did you notice anything about when Busker goes to buy the ice cream?
The ice cream lady is the same from
and he's paying with the tooth fairy note.
Yeah, exactly. He's paying with the $5 note that has the tooth fairy sticker on it. Obviously, that's before, but we're not reviewing the episodes in sequential order, but so that is from another one, so it's a bit naughty of me to mention it, but we will recall back to that when we do that episode.
That's cool.
Oh man, when I saw that I just thought levels upon levels upon levels.
For me, it was the yes/no button.
Where was that? Yes, no, you're right. That is the first.
At the start. Yes.
And you know,
no. Yes.
You know what? To tie those in, that yes/no button.
That comes from dance mode.
That comes from dance mode. I know. Look, there's newspapers flying left, right, and centre, but that's all right.
We're all being swatted.
That's another one with Busker in it.
Brendan. His name's Brendan.
His name's Brendan. Got Busker Brendan.
Busker Brendan.
I'll take it because you know who does the voice for Busker?
Who?
Joff Bush.
Oh, the composer.
Yeah.
So that
the
makes
composer.
perfect sense.
It makes perfect
It
sense.
tracks.
So he's my favourite little side character.
Beautiful.
But I don't want to talk about him too much because,
Speaking of
this...
the yes no button, sorry, we brought it up as it's an Easter egg. Wouldn't that have saved Bandit a lot of effort if you'd just brought that to the shops with him?
Is it this one? No. Is it this one? Yes. Oh, wow. You've just cracked the episode wide open.
And I
That's
feel like
amazing.
that is something that Chili would point out to Bandit. And that's the thing that Ali is pointing out to Frank. The parallels are endless between these four. I just thought that was interesting. Busker is in this episode, cheekily in the background. He's also in Tooth Fairy, which has the thingo. And he's in Dance Mode, which has the yes, no, yes.
This is getting Marvel Cinematic Universe level of tie-ins, isn't it?
Talking about like Marvel tie-ins, the wall of Moonlight Unicorns, to me, is just the Funko Pops.
Yeah.
And the slow encroachment of Funko Pops over all popular culture stores and video game stores.
It's not very slow.
Yeah, it's getting faster and faster.
They've actually been around for a long time, but they just, whenever you see in particular a new, pop culture-y type store or some toy retailer or something, there is
a wall.
A wall of them.
A wall or a third of the store dedicated
Am
to
I
those.
revealing my non-parenthood? What's a Funko Pop? What?
Where have you been?
Oh, is it just the
big head
the
things.
big head things?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what they're called? Funko Pops?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funko is the name of the company, and Pops is the
Okay.
line
Yeah.
of these
Right.
things.
Gotcha. No, I have seen them absolutely everywhere. Don't worry.
If you were to actually pause that scene, it'd be really tempting from an animation point of view to go, all right, here's one line, here's a row of the unicorns, and then just sort of copy paste but offset them. There, I have yet to find two that are identical.
Yeah.
If you freeze frame it and you have, and some are similar, same colors, but the eyes are shut or they're looking to the left or looking to the right. And somebody correct me, but I feel like they're all individually done. And from an animation point of view, oh, that's some crazy work.
Because weird, it's unlike this show to go the extra mile.
No, never.
Well, the wall of them reminds me of the Funko Pops. To me, they're a My Little Pony.
You're correct.
Totally.
Yeah. Nailed it.
With the, what are they called? Rump designs? Do
Rump sticker or tattoo or...
you remember we watched that Toys That Made Us about My Little
Yeah.
Ponies? And they kept using a soundbite of her going, rump designs.
Yes, the editing on that show leaves a bit to be desired. But anyway.
The longevity of My Little Pony, they just stick around, don't they?
Yep.
It's like Thomas the Tank Engine as well. I can remember being a kid and someone in my class when I was in year 1 was into Thomas the Tank Engine. I'm like, come on, mate. Is that making a comeback, is it? And it's still around.
We went and saw a My Little Pony panel at Comic-Con when we were on our honeymoon because Frank really wanted to see the Ninja Turtle one and he wanted to get a good seat. So we had to sit through the My Little Pony for beforehand.
Man, bronies. Everyone gives me grief for being this weird toy nerd. You have not seen it until you've seen a grown man in his 30s to 40s with a foam unicorn head, a sparkly cape, and then they put their hand up at this panel that is cast by all the voice actors from the show asking legit Star Trek level questions of, oh, in this episode this did that, but then is this what they were referring to?
And the girls are just like, friendship is magic?
There was a couple of points where the cast were just like, it's a show. Like, let's not. I get that you're a fan. I love it, but let's just move on.
Someone needs to tell us that.
I hope everybody's enjoying our podcast where we break down a children's television show to the nth degree.
Yeah, but those guys are weird.
The moment that made Brendan cry.
Oh.
What resulted Willie's whimper?
Look,
Did I
think
get it
we-
right?
What resulted Willie's whimper? You did.
I think that's the first time I've ever gotten that
nice
right
one.
on air.
And it was after the point where I tried to forget that I ever made that show. But now I've...
Now it's here to stay.
I've immortalized it in other people's minds. But what have I done? No, I think we did touch on it. Just the, yes, I can. Just when
little
can
smile
you
at the
help
end.
us? That catharsis for Alfie, just because we love an underdog story.
Underdog.
The final scene where they all start singing, of course. They've gone from the quiet game to, oh, Mother's come home.
How is match? Oh, man, that is great.
You sort of got to wonder how long that actually lasted in reality. Like, I understand that, there's music to my ears, as Bandit says at the end. I think
Not
that
for very
music only
long.
lasted 10 minutes tops.
Oh, I don't know. Those healers, if we know anything about them, they can commit. Well, I'll be on the couch. And I am on the couch.
Look at that.
Hey, I was trying to quote the show, but I'm literally on a couch. And it is an honor to have been here with you, Ali.
Thank you.
I had fun in this first episode where we've had a guest. This is cool.
Great. It was. It was
cool.
a first for our show, having a guest on here who, can put me in my place, because you boys are no good at that.
Always happy to help.
We needed to be taken down a bit.
Ali, lovely to have you on. And if you ever want to guest again, just open the door and come into the room.
This is, after all, your house. Thank you, folks, for joining us as always. And I know I keep saying it, but thank you, Ali, for joining us. It's been like super cool having someone else in the room other than these barbarians. You're the rose among the thorns. Until next time, folks, you know where to catch us. It's not the department store where you can get the Moonlight unicorns, but, to each their own. But I, for one, will be at Hammer Barn.
Aisle 300.
Left at the fake grass.
If you see a Moonlight unicorn, you've gone too far.
Created and produced by Frank, Brendan and Marty. You can follow the Hammerbarn Project on facebook.com/HammerbarnProj, at HammerbarnProj on Twitter, or Hammerbarn_project on Instagram. Theme featuring Nibblings, Kaylee, Jade, Ashley and Reese, and PA announcements by brother-in-law, me, Josh. Thanks for listening, and remember to get down to Hammerbarn for cheap shovels.